morning. Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate it. Yeah. Hope you had a good weekend. Okay, let's start here in Exodus chapter 17, verse 8, through chapter 19, verse 15. Amalek came and attacked Israel in Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out and fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua fought against Amalek, just as Moses had instructed him. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses would raise his hands, then Israel prevailed, but whenever he would rest his hands, then Amalek prevailed. When the hands of Moses became heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other, and so his hands were steady until the sun went down. So Joshua destroyed Amalek and his army with the sword. The Lord said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in the book, and rehearse it in Joshua's hearing, for I will surely wipe out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar, and he called it, "The Lord is my banner," for he said, "For a hand was lifted up to the throne of the Lord, that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Moses' wife Zipporah, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, one of whom was named Gershom, for Moses had said, "I have been a foreigner in a foreign land," and the other Eleazar, for Moses had said, "The God of my father has been my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and his wife, came to Moses in the desert, where he was camping by the mountain of God. He said to Moses, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you, along with your wife, and her 2 sons with her." Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and bowed down and kissed him. They each asked about the other's welfare, and then they went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to Egypt for Israel's sake, and all the hardship that had come on them along the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Jethro rejoiced because of all the good that the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered from the hand of Egypt. Jethro said, "Blessed be the Lord, who has delivered you from the hand of Egypt, and from the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from the Egyptians' control. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for in the thing in which they dealt proudly against them, he has destroyed them." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices for God, and Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat food with the father-in-law of Moses before God. On the next day Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why are you sitting by yourself, and all the people stand around you from morning until evening?" Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I decide between a man and his neighbor, and I make known the decrees of God and his laws." Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out, both you and these people who are with you, for this is too heavy for you. You are not able to do it by yourself. Now listen to me. I will give you advice, and may God be with you. You be a representative for the people to God, and you bring their disputes to God. Warn them of the statutes and the laws, and make known to them the way in which they must walk and the work they must do. But you choose from the people capable men, God-fearing men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. They will judge the people under normal circumstances, and each difficult case they will bring to you, but every small case they themselves will judge, so that you may make it easier for yourself, and they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all these people will be able to go home satisfied. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he had said. Moses chose capable men from all Israel, and he made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. They judged the people under normal circumstances. The difficult cases they would bring to Moses, but every small case they would judge themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and so Jethro went to his own land. In the 3rd month, after the Israelites went out from the land of Egypt, on the very day, they came to the desert of Sinai. After they journeyed from Rephidim, they came to the desert of Sinai, and they camped in the desert. Israel camped there in front of the mountain. Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain. Thus you will tell the house of Jacob, and declare to the people of Israel, You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I lifted you up on eagle's wings, and I brought you to myself. And now, if you will diligently listen to me, and keep my covenant, then you will be my special possession out of all the nations, for all the earth is mine, and you will be to me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words that you will speak to the Israelites. So Moses came and summoned the elders of Israel. He set before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him. And all the people answered together, All that the Lord has commanded we will do. So Moses brought the words of the people back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so that they will always believe in you. And Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, Go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and make them wash their clothes. And be ready for the 3rd day, for on the 3rd day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You must set boundaries for the people all around, saying, Take heed to yourselves not to go up on the mountain, nor touch its edge. Whoever touches the mountain will surely be put to death. No hand will touch him, but he will surely be stoned or shot through. Whether a beast or a human being, he must not live. When the ram's horn sounds a long blast, they may go up on the mountain. Then Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. He said to the people, Be ready for the 3rd day. Do not go near your wives. Okay. So, in regard to chapter 17 here, where Amalek is fighting Israel, the Amalekites were a constant thorn in the side of Israel, and just throughout Israel's history. And I think that they weren't really dealt with until the time of Saul, that is, in the time of the kings. Yeah. Can't quite find what I was looking for here. Oh yeah. In Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 17 through 19, it says, Remember what the Amalekites did to you on your way from Egypt, how they met you along the way, and cut off all your stragglers in the rear of the march when you were exhausted and tired. They were unafraid of God. So when the Lord your God gives you relief from all the enemies who surround you in the land he is giving you as an inheritance, you must wipe out the memory of the Amalekites from under heaven. Do not forget. So these children of Amalek would go and attack the weak, the sick, the elderly, and the children at the rear of the march. in kind of these guerrilla raids. And I think Exodus chapter 18 highlights the importance of us being a body of believers, because Moses here is trying to provide fair and sound judgments for the entire congregation of Israel here. And he can't, because he's one man. And so they crowded together in front of him from morning until evening. So it was good counsel for Jethro to counsel Moses to put sub-judges in place. And I think following off of that, you have in Exodus 19, the Lord saying, in chapter 19, verses 5 and 6, "And now if you will diligently listen to me and keep my covenant, then you will be my special possession out of all the nations, for all the earth is mine, and you will be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." And I think that's the really cool thing. Well, I mean, the Israelites end up rejecting this vision of God's and want priests that serve as intermediaries between them and God, and like Moses. So, but as believers, we're called to be a nation of priests. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, Matthew 22, verses 34 through chapter 23, verse 12. "Now, when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they assembled together, and one of them, an expert in religious law, asked him a question to test him. 'Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?' Jesus said to him, 'Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these two commandments.' While the Pharisees were assembled, Jesus asked them a question. 'What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he?' They said, 'The son of David.' He said to them, 'How then does David by the Spirit call him Lord, saying, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet"? If David then calls him Lord, how can he be his son?' No one was able to answer him a word, and from that day on, no one dared to question him any longer. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, 'The experts in the law and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. Therefore pay attention to what they tell you and do it, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they teach. They tie up heavy loads, hard to carry, and put them on men's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing even to lift a finger to move them. They do all their deeds to be seen by people, for they make their phylacteries wide and their tassels long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the best seats in the synagogues, and elaborate greetings in the marketplaces, and to have people call them Rabbi. But you are not to be called Rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And call no one your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven. Nor are you to be called teacher, for you have one teacher, the Christ. The greatest among you will be your servant, and whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted.'" Yeah, always think it's awesome. Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39, when Jesus is talking about what the greatest commandment is. which it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and then to love your neighbor as yourself. I think this is really important because, laws change, and necessarily so, because the morality of a culture changes over time. In the circumstances, I'd say there's a good amount of jurisprudence that needs to be exercised, and there's a reason why we have legislature in place, because we don't have the same culture that we did in the 1800s, so we need different laws in place to reflect that. But to love the Lord your God and to love your neighbor as yourself kind of transcends the law and is a greater law than any of the laws under it. Because if you love the Lord your God, then you're going to do the things that please the Lord. And if you love your neighbor, you're going to do the things that are best for your neighbor in love. You're not going to steal from your neighbor. You're not going to kill your neighbor, because that's against the law of love. And so I think the law of love is a more all-encompassing law. And it's interesting, we just read that bit about Moses sitting on the seat of judgment for the Israelites. And then we have in Matthew 23:2, the experts in the law and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. That is the seat of judgment, to dole out these judgments to the people. And Jesus recognized that and said, pay attention to what they tell you and do it, but don't act like them, because they don't practice what they preach. Okay, carrying on. And Psalm 27, verses 7 through 14. Hear me, O Lord, when I cry out. Have mercy on me and answer me. My heart tells me to pray to you, and I do pray to you, O Lord. Do not reject me. Do not push your servant away in anger. You are my deliverer. Do not forsake or abandon me, O God who vindicates me. Even if my father and mother abandon me, the Lord would take me in. Teach me how you want me to live. Lead me along the level path because of those who wait to ambush me. Do not turn me over to my enemies, for false witnesses who want to destroy me testify against me. Where would I be if I did not believe I would experience the Lord's favor in the land of the living? Rely on the Lord. Be strong and confident. Rely on the Lord. Amen. Help us to rely on you, Lord. Proverbs 6:27 through 35. Can a man hold fire against his chest without burning his clothes? Can a man walk on hot coals without scorching his feet? So it is with the one who has sex with his neighbor's wife. The one who touches her will escape punishment. People do not despise a thief when he steals to fulfill his need when he is hungry, yet if he is caught, he must repay 7 times over. He might even have to give all the wealth of his house. A man who commits adultery with a woman lacks wisdom. Whoever does it destroys his own life. He will be beaten and despised, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy kindles a husband's rage, and he will not show mercy when he takes revenge. He will not consider any compensation. He will not be willing, even if you multiply the compensation. Yeah. And another proverb goes on to say, anger is a fire and jealousy is a flood, anger is a fire and rage is a flood, but who can withstand jealousy? Yeah. So don't do it. Don't do adultery. It's bad. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate you joining me today. Bye.